Alright guys, so I had an insane game on Pilsen a couple days ago. I have probably a dozen videos and like a mix of videos and sessions that I want to bring you guys. This is going to be the first one, so we're just getting started today, but you might see me in the same shirt for like 10 videos and be like, hey Whirls, what's going on? But I have the time to record a lot of videos today, so that's what we're going to do. We're going to be on Pilsen in the LT432 guys, and again, this game was crazy, man. I have never gotten this much combined on Pilsen, I don't think ever. We did well over 6,000 combined, and I'm running this thing with my actual scouting setup, which I know the camera kind of blocks it, but I now have this thing set up so I can show you guys. It's CVS in the scouting slot, and then I have modified configuration and optics, and there is no what do you call it? The little module that gives you like an extra boost to one of these. I don't have any of that. So it's just the three modules, and they're standard modules, right? Standard equipment. I usually like to switch to a more aggressive setup on Pilsen. I just, for some reason, didn't want to do it this game. I figured, let me just run CVS and kind of see what happens, because I might end up having to run the bush line on the zero line, and CVS will come in handy if I'm doing that. A lot of people like to run like vents and stuff like that, even on maps like Pilsen. I prefer to usually only run my aggressive setup, if you call it that, my damage setup, on maps like Abbey, where I know that I'm not going to really do any spotting whatsoever. Even in the even 90 on Abbey, I'll sometimes run my CVS and scouting setup because I can spot the east side of that map, I believe it is, and sit in a tree, like a little tiny tree in the even 90, and I can spot people way in the back, right? So anytime that I feel like I'm going to be doing any kind of spotting whatsoever. Like the only exceptions, again, Abbey, Tundra is another one. Tundra, I always go for my aggressive setup. Even sometimes on mines, I will run CVS. It's very rare. I usually like to run the aggressive setup on mines, because everyone knows how mines works, right? But sometimes it really depends on the tank. Like the even 90, it's more likely that I'm going to run that spotting setup, because it's the only thing the even 90 can really do. So anyway, I decided to run down the zero line. Let's get to talking about this game, guys. I decided to run down the zero line, and I have a lot of support. This is the difference, okay, in this game versus many others, right? The fact that I have a lot of support behind me. I'm very lucky that the Leo didn't spot me here, but let me explain something to you guys here. You don't have a lot of options on this map, right? If you end up taking this spot, right, where I was, so the T-54 is where I was, you have really a couple of options. You can continue to poke this bush and hope that you spot something, which it's highly likely you won't. I have CVS, I'm poking this, I'm not spotting the people that were sitting back in this corner. And again, even with CVS, you're not going to be able to punch through all these bushes if someone's sitting like on this corner. It's very rare, man. Like you need to get into here to really spot people back here. Trust me, I've done this many times, and it just doesn't, I can never spot anything from here other than maybe someone on the hill if I get lucky with the vision through the bushes. Now, you have that option, but I would suggest you try and push this, and then you can push it up to these little, I don't know what these things are, like these metal cylinders. I'm trying to figure out like what this area is supposed to be. It's not like a mine or like a quarry or something like that, I guess you can call it. But you push up to these little metal rods, right? And this will keep you covered from pretty much everyone in this area. The only thing you have to worry about is people that are going to poke in this bush. So once you get here, you're going to be lit, likely. Like the Leo should have spotted me here. I don't think he's running optics or whatever, but I really thought I was going to get lit through this gap. But when you run through here like this, right? Again, you have to be mindful of whoever's going to sit in this bush, because they can still get shots into you. However, once you go dark, you should be okay here unless someone is going to contest this and sit right here. And that's what I don't like about this position, because sometimes this can become a stalemate where you have one other player that sits right here and you guys are just staring at each other for half the game. Your other option, your last option, is to run back and just run through the bush line instead. However, you have to be mindful of this gap right here. This is a huge gap. Like, look at this gap, man. See how big this is? And someone sitting here will get the view range like that. I've explained this before, but you guys have to be very mindful of these little things, man. Like, there's a lot of people that think you can just run through bushes and it's like some automatic cheat code, and it's really not, man. It's really not. So I'm running up here. I'm spotting the Type 59 and the Lorraine. They're not even lighting me here. I assumed that I was going to get spotted here, so what I should have done is just kind of held my shot, but I want to try and contest these guys, and we're hitting them here. These guys are all getting their shots, like the SMV and the T-54 and the Jaeger or Yager, however this is pronounced. And now I'm going to try and go after the Lorraine here. I take a shot there. It just hits the front of his tank, and I believe he's on reload, so now I'm going to try and go after this guy. I get another one into him there, and then I'm just concerned that the Leo or the Scorpion might be poking this corner, so I'm going to let him go. Now we're at 3,500 spotting, and most of this is because we spotted people here, and we also got some spotting damage on the Leo, I believe. And the heavy that came up this way, I'm not sure about that play he was making, but we ended up cleaning this guy up as well in terms of spotting damage, right? I think I got maybe one shot into him. And now at this point, we're going to go after the Lorraine, because I know that I can make this play fairly safely. There's a little ridge line here, and this will keep you mostly safe from people in this area. But again, I think most of this team is focused on the west side of the map. I don't think there's a lot going on in this mid area, so I'm going to try and poke it and just see what's going on. And all that's here is the 283. I'm looking for a shot in the 283. And I'm looking for a shot in the KV4 until I realize he's way over here. And again, I think a lot of people were just busy in the west. What you'll find on maps like Pilsen is that most people, most players, and again, this is just a general statement, but most players are going to be very focused on what's in front of them. They kind of get tunnel vision. That even happens to me a lot of times. You want to try not to have that happen when you're playing in a light tank. You want to keep looking everywhere on the map, right? But what tends to happen, especially for heavy players, is they're just focusing on what's in front of them. They're not looking at the map. If these guys had adjusted and maybe put one or two people in the mid here, they might have been able to contest this a little bit. But again, a lot of players just, they don't think of the game like this. They just get on the game, they're like, all right, I'm going to go play my BZ166, and they're focusing on hitting people's weak spots, and they're looking at what's in front of them. They're looking at our AMX 5100, the TNH, the Conway, etc., right? So that's why in a light tank, you can be really good if you pay attention to what's going on in the map, because you can beat these players that kind of get into that tunnel vision, right? So I'm going to continue advancing here. We're still at 3,500 spotting, but watch how we get a little more here. We're going to poke this corner, and from here, you can actually spot some people that are going to be in this area if they fire and they're not solid bush, right? So I'm going to be careful in kind of how I approach this. And the LT-432 is coming around the corner. I'm going to keep myself safe behind this building. Like, there's no reason for me to try and, you know, take any shots from here. Likely the turtle might be sitting up here, and it's likely the Scorpion retreated back there as well, because we don't see him on the map, right? This is something important to note. See how the Scorpion was here, guys? He's clearly not here anymore. Where can he be? It's very likely he's an A1, right? This is just like 2 + 2 = 4 for me. It's one of those things. I'm trying to get shots into the Tortoise here. It's not working so well, and we're still wondering where the Turtle one is, right? We haven't found him yet. In fact, I don't even remember where he pokes up, guys. I really don't, but we will see in a minute, and then you'll also see that the Scorpion ends up here, and then the T95 appears as well. And it's like, yeah, man, like this is going to be pretty challenging to push. So what I decide to do, and this is a really important play that I believe I have shared before on my channel, is I push around this way, right? If I take a shot from the 166, even if I get whacked by the T95, I'll be okay. I just can't take a shot from both of them, right? And I sit right in this little pocket. And in this little pocket, especially with a smaller light tank, the LT-432 is really long and pretty wide, right? But with really any light tank, but especially the ones that are smaller than this, like, I don't know, man, the British lights, most of those, or some of the American light tanks, even though they're a little bigger, but I think they're like shorter, you could sit here safely, right? You could sit here safely, and even in the LT-432, I'm making it work, and you can see you can cap out, right? And what this does is it forces the team to kind of push in and expose themselves. So I'm going to cap only until I'm sure we're going to win this game, right? And then I'm going to advance. And again, we're still at 3,500 spotting. You're going to see where a lot of this spotting damage comes from as we end up lighting the A1 area. So I'm kind of just sitting here waiting, and then once it gets to 12.6, we're at 3,500 HP difference here. I'm like, all right, man, I'm going to push in. I'm we're going to start going after this team, but you don't want to run into this little radio tower. Don't do that, guys. I think it's a radio tower, right? It looks like it, or like a spot. It's like a spotlight tower or one of those things. I don't know. It's kind of hard to tell. But you're going to push in like so, right? Once you need to spot the A1 area, push in and keep these bushes. And see how I keep these bushes in front? You don't want to run over here. I find if you just keep these bushes like this, like most of these guys just sit in the middle back here because it's a whole entire bush line. So you do this, and now I'm not spotted until I'm basically right on top of these guys. And then 283 is like, oh my gosh, and he turns his turret, and they panic, right? And then they turn their tank, and it's easier for everyone else to hit the shots. So I spot the Scorpion, I spot the 283, and we end up with 5k, spotting 1622 damage, and that's the game, guys. I don't think anything was blind. Man, I was having such a rough time playing the LT-432 for like the longest time. Like this tank and the Hawk 30 were trolling me quite a bit, but we made things work here very, very well on Pilsen, and I was like laughing at the end of this game, so I'm like, dude, 6k plus on Pilsen? Like this must be some sort of cheat code. Like, is Whirls putting in hacks in the game? Like, I'm wondering myself, guys, right? I mean, this is insane. 6,500 combined or whatever the heck this is. So let's get a look at the end plates, guys. I feel like I talked a lot through this video, like a lot, man. So I hope that any questions you have about Pilsen, I've answered them for you. 5k spotting, 1600 damage, guys. And yeah, this is like 6,500 combined, right? This is absolutely mind-boggling. And again, you can see here all the equipment and the way I have the crew set up and all, if you are curious, because everyone's always asking me, like, what equipment do you run? What equipment do you run? And I always have to comment and say, just watch the end of the video. Like, I know it's at the end of the video, but just get to the end of the video, because that's where I show you guys all of my equipment, right? And crew, and what the firepower looks like, and like all the stats over here and stuff. So if you're ever wondering, just come to the end of the video, guys. But this was an insane game, right? This was just like, I cannot believe we had this game, man. I find it just mind-boggling that I was able to do this on Pilsen, guys. And that's it. That's all I have to say. I think I'm done with, you know, the strategic overview, guys. So we were top by experience here, certainly not top by damage. And there you go, guys. We made 93k. We were on the standard account. Yesterday was when I got the Day of Premium for free via the Battle Pass, and I was spamming like the Hawk 30 all day. And we also played a session in a number of vehicles. I think I did 4 session videos yesterday. LTG, T54 lightweight, a Hawk 30 session, 2 Hawk 30 sessions, because I did one before that as well. And yeah, we played a lot. We played a lot of tanks, guys. The G-SOAR as well. So hope you enjoyed this one. Hope it helps you out on Pilsen. I will catch you guys for the next one. Take care. Bye-bye.